No, that's fine, whatever you say. But see, but and as black folk become popular in entertainment, in that safe category, the safe category for elevating blacks would be entertainment and for anything. But see, then you got other groups going to try to imitate black folk because they're going to compete with black folk. As you have an increasing number of Hispanics coming into the country, they're going to try to displace black folk. That's one of the negatives about social integration in this country. They're going to try to, if black folk have a congressional black caucus in Washington, the Hispanics, soon they come in, they're going to get them a Hispanic caucus. If black folk are singing, all the music in this country, let's go back a little further. All the music in this country came out of the black experience. Black people in this world have always had a genius, a talent for creating music. That's a genius and talent that we have. But all the music in this country that you now hear people singing, it came out of the black experience in this country. Whites didn't bring any music into this country. It's only they came in here was singing. They had classic music and a waltz dance. The music and the dance in this country for 460 years have come out of the black community. But again, that blacks should be dominating and controlling it. But every time they do it, whites take it over. Blacks created the country and Western music. Came out of the black experience. Hillbilly music is black experience. Folk songs came out of the black experience. Jazz came out of the black experience. But in the old days, the jazz music was called jackass music. They cut it short from jackass to jazz. That's what the term came. Y'all don't know that. That's what jazz came from. Whites used to call that jackass music.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm telling you. And see, big band sounds. All the big band, you all about Ben Cosby and all these other singers and that sang black music. The big band sounds. That came up. They replaced, dominating, try to push out Count Basie and all those black big musicians. They took that over. Our blues music was a boogie woogie, and rhythm and blues when whites took it over with Bill Haley and the Comets and Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins. They started trying to sing black music after integration. Integration allows whites to come into your community and take your music from you. They captured your music and took the song like Big Maybelle, took her music and called it was Shake, Rattle, and Roll. They took that and made that white, so black music. They made it white music, called it rock and roll. Then they build a museum up in Ohio where it's saying in the future, you black folk can't just sing your music anymore. We're gonna change it and put it under us. Then we'll tell you how many of you can come into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll take your music and change it. And black folk are stupid enough to run in and say, well, wait a minute, you're gonna take my music, you're gonna change it, and you're gonna capitalize on it, call yourself the Rolling Stones and all this, and play our music and sing our songs, imitate us, and become a fortune off of it. Black folk never learn how to practice Powernomics principles, control everything from the bottom to the top. Why should anybody take all your music? And they got with Kenny G now. Kenny G is the king of jazz, and Elvis Presley, he's the king of blues, of rock and roll, and Vanilla Ice and a couple of
Eminem is the new Vanilla Ice in a way.
Eminem, same thing. Why you ever ask yourself, why would our people be so damn silly? Even when somebody forced you to say the only elevation you're going to have to popularity and wealth and power is through this safe category called being an entertainer. Then when we put most of you over there, then we're going to take that from you. We're going to take that with that only thing we gave you. We're going to take that away from him. If a black person right now had a pimple on his butt, whites would go grab and squeeze it, try to take that from him. So, but our people say that sure feel good because you squeeze that pimple. I mean, Lord, give me a break. That's before we leave today. We're going to talk about this new movement I'll be promoting called the Us Too movement, and that'll be starting with this broadcast today. And by the first of the year, I'm going to be promoting across this country an Us Too movement. Us Too means only for black folk. Us Too means no isms in it. I've never been interested in any isms or horizontal issues. Us is something that's vertical. Racism is a vertical issue. Racism will pertain to issues between blacks and whites. But we're going to start our Us Too movement, which says that now we're going to not be in any ism. The only ism we in is our ism and blackism. And we're going to develop using those Powernomics books from the bottom to the top and learn how to play the game and win. This movement is going to kick off in sometime the first of the year and probably have a big assembly here in Washington, D.C. the 1st of February for Black History Month. We're going to start playing to win as a team. To do two things, Dr. Watkins, is to try to reverse two of the major things that happen to black folk. Yes, the black folk were stripped of their pride. They were stripped of their heritage. They were stripped of their self-concept. But the two things that were most damaging to black folk is that slavery and Jim Crow segregation stripped them of the two key things that they've never been able to get. One, the first one, they stripped them of the control of ownership of resources in this country. Black people in this America has never been able to own and control more than 1/2 of 1% of anything of value. It's impossible in theory and practice for you to be a competitive group. Going back to your point of question about competitiveness, it is impossible. I don't give a damn what a civil rights leader tell you, or these integrations tell you. It is impossible for you to continue to survive owning and controlling 1/2 of 1% of anything of value, of importance in this country. That's why slavery, the purpose of slavery has never been challenged or nor corrected in this country. And I'm personally sick and tired of black leaders getting up on TV talking about, we're going to save the world. We're going to save the gays, the midgets, and the humpbacks. And they yet never address the issue of what happened to black folk during slavery and Jim Crow segregation. The primary purpose of slavery was to maldistribute 100% all this nation's land, resources, minerals, rights, businesses, income, privileges, and controls of all levels of government into the hands of the dominant white society. How the hell are you going to compete with 1/2 of 1% of anything of value? You don't control anything. They said, well, how about rights and privileges? Rights and privileges are determined by what you own and control. If you don't own and control anything, you have no rights and privileges. I've told blacks that now for 60 years in politics. Rights and privileges come from what you own and control. If I don't own and control Trump Tower, I don't have any rights and privileges in it. God should know that. But no black leaders will tell you that. Owning and controlling is the key, wealth and resources and power. And yet our people keep playing this game about, we're going to be competitive. We're going to get, they won't give us any rights and privileges. The Constitution says you're not going to have any rights. You'll never own and control anything of more than 1/2 of 1%. That's exactly where you were in 1860 at the eve of the Civil War. Today, you still own 1/2 of 1%. And that's why these Asians and Arabs are going to eat your breakfast and your lunch. They're coming here to own and control. They say, well, you black folks, you got the right to vote. Nobody gives a damn about voting. Voting controls nothing. Nothing. People got money, wealth, they don't have to vote. I don't give you an organized crime. You don't have to vote. You control the damn politicians. Only black folk are silly enough to let people keep telling them, well, we got to go out there and vote more often. We got to increase our voting. And because you're outnumbered 10-1. 10 will go over 1. 10 will pass over 1 10 times with nothing left over, Dr. Watkins. Who cares about your vote? You can vote. Donald Trump got 400% more black vote in the last election. He hadn't done a damn thing for black folk. The Democratic Party has been getting vote power ever since 1860. They haven't done anything for black folk. Republican Party, they did try to help you for a 10-year period between 1865 and 1875. They haven't done anything for black folk. It's not voting. Voting is a way, it's like intellectual masturbation. It just exercise, make you feel good. It's like starving to death and being hungry and taking a steak and rubbing it outside your stomach. Rubbing a steak outside your stomach doesn't satisfy your need for food. Let me break right there because I'm getting a little angry about my people. I love black folk, but I'm tired of them letting people sell them out and mistreat them and make a fool. That's why white folk right now tell me, Dr. Anderson, we appreciate hearing you, but we think black folks are a joke. You're a joke. Your whole race is a joke. Going back to that safe category. That's why right now most of the blacks on TV right now they got programmed. They're comedians. Go look at the comedians. They're jokes. We want them to be jokes. Let them shuck and jive and entertain us. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to give you a speech.
No, that was a great speech. Everybody, please say something digitally. Let Dr. Anderson know you appreciate the fact that he loves us and represents us in a way that nobody else does. And I want everybody to know who I'm talking to in case you just came in. I'm talking to Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Claud Anderson is one of the great historical figures, one of the great thinkers of all time. He has written the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets, Part 1 and 2. And you can actually get copies of these books, which I recommend. Add them to your library for your family. Go to powernomics.com and you can get copies of these books in a bundle. If you want to support harvestinstitute.org, you can. That's where his think tank is. And also make sure you hit that real quick as we move on. Hit that thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. And also, don't forget, drboyceseminars.com is where you can go if you want to join the lecture tonight. We're doing an 8 p.m. lecture on how to quit your job, make more money, and figure out how to navigate the economic system without a job. So that's drboyceseminars.com. So it's a lot of information. Take what you want. We're here for the community, and that's what it is. And one thing I want to mention also, Dr. Anderson, as we move forward is, so he mentioned this Us Too movement. So Dr. Anderson wants to initiate a movement that is as strong as the Me Too movement, stronger than the Me Too movement, that basically is about us, about us and us only. I think it's necessary because when you talk about things like reparations, the only way we're going to get it is if we force people to focus, we start demanding something for our vote, and we just don't take any excuses from anybody. So I want everybody in this thread, please make a statement, to make a commitment right now that you're going to make a comment on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere, and use the hashtag #UsToo. Make a statement. I believe Black people deserve reparations. Put the hashtag #UsToo. But that's the pound symbol, and then write #UsToo, USTOO. If you share a video, you want to do a video on YouTube, use the hashtag #UsToo. If you share an image about what they did to us in slavery, share that image, put #UsToo. Make a comment, get it. If you get into a Twitter fight with somebody about this issue, then use the hashtag #UsToo. And let's really push this hashtag, because we got to push 10 times harder, because the Me Too movement has 10 times more people. Okay. So in order for us to make this work, every single person watching this video right now has to commit to being a part of this. You are either part of the solution, or you don't exist. Okay. So I want everybody in here to exist. I will see you. I will check that hashtag. Just all you got to do, hashtag #UsToo on your social media. Every person in here, please give me a commitment right now. Right now, it ain't gonna cost you nothing. Don't cost you a penny to use a hashtag. Give me a commitment right now that you're gonna use the hashtag #UsToo to make sure we can set this sucker off and let people know that we ain't playing in 2019. Let them know we ain't playing. So that's it, Dr. Anderson. So we can move on.
Can I pick up before you leave that point?
Oh, yes, sir. Please go ahead.
And you said hit the nail right on the head. I want Black folk to understand the Us Too movement means that we're exceptional people. We are special people. And we're not going to be playing the game anymore, taking care of carrying everybody else's water, putting other groups ahead of us. We are special people, and that's why I said, and this movement will be an Us Too movement for Black folk, and I'm gonna try to premise it starting off the first of the year based on the exceptionality of Black folk. We're the only people that's been excluded and left out of everything. We're the only people been subordinated, and there's nobody in America like Black folk. We are the people that were the economic engines that drove this country's development. Black folk, not Hispanics, not Arabs, not Asians, not American Indians. Black people were the ones that were the engines of economic development in this country. We were the labor class. We're the only people that denied a right to be called an immigrant. And you keep bringing immigrants in and giving them rights and privileges and economic benefits, excluding Black folk. And you keep giving benefits to gender people, to gender groups, and bigender groups and trigender groups, but you don't give it to Black folk. And Black folk are the people that, again, were excluded. Nobody has enslaved any genders, any bisexual, trisexual, transsexuals. They enslaved Black folk. We are exceptional people. And right now, when we start our movement, we're gonna start challenging everything, and we're gonna start demanding. No more marching and begging. No more than marching and praying. We're gonna start demanding that we be included in all the things that we're entitled to, including 3 or 4 things. First, recognition. That's why my books, Dirty Little Secrets, are about recognizing Black folk and appreciation. That's Powernomics, appreciating them for all the things that Black folk brought and did in this country that have gone unknown and unrecognized and unappreciated. And lastly, to be reparated for what they've done. They've given reparations to every group in this country except Black folk. And yet Black folk are the oldest people in the country. Then Black people in America, the native Blacks, 99% of the Blacks in America were here before 99% of all the whites, Asians, Arabs, Indians, East, everybody arrived. But yet they've been excluded because Black folk don't demand a damn thing. That's why they get nothing. So the new Us Too movement, we're gonna start demanding stuff for us strictly and foremostly. We're not voting for anybody and supporting anybody that won't support us. We're gonna have a national movement, and I want every Black to go out and buy those books, go to Powernomics.com and buy that library pack. That library pack starts at the bottom with Black labor, white wealth, and takes you all the way up to the top to the Black reader. It'll tell you everything you need to do, what your problems are. The Black readers, those 5 books will tell you this. It'll tell you exactly how you got where you are. It'll tell you what's been keeping you where you are, and it'll tell you what you got to do in terms of solution to get the hell out of where you are. Those 5 books are called the Library Pack on Powernomics.com, and buy the Library Pack for $99 to get all 5 of those books with a DVD on how you educate Black children. And when we start this, if you want to be a part of this movement, then you better get those books. If you don't want it, don't come around and ask me anything anymore. I put in 60 years fighting for Black folk in this country and around the world. If you're not serious, stay away from me. Don't buy anything from Powernomics. Black folk must get serious. This is 2019. This is the last chance we're going to get. We're going to be kicking it off and say, no, we're going to stand up now and say we are special people, and nobody's going to get anything over us. And all this thing about immigrants and women, that's in violation of the Constitution. The 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the Civil Rights laws were written strictly and solely for Black folk, not for handicap, not for midgets, not for women, not for trisexual, bisexual, Asians, Arabs, or Hispanics. Were written for Black folk. And if you start giving those people benefits over Black folk, it's unconstitutional, illegal. And we're going to start challenging all the laws in this country that have shut Black folks down for 460 years. We have not moved one iota because we don't demand, we don't understand. But the new movement called Us to Move, we're going to start understanding and moving. I thank you, Dr. Watkins.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that I think everybody else appreciates it. I can see everybody's made a commitment to use the Us To hashtag. And I'll remind you guys that I'll keep bringing it up. Us To, in case you want to talk about how we agree to spell it, let's use TOO. USTOO, USTOO. You might even also want to hashtag it also with terms like reparations, things like that, so that we can make sure that the message gets out. Tell your friends and push it out there. So I'm talking to Dr. Claud Anderson, author of the book Powernomics. And now, Dr. Anderson, I want to ask you a little bit about something that you know quite a bit about. It's about affirmative action. I know you know a lot about affirmative action and reparations, which kind of go hand in hand in the sense that people believe, some of us believe that one substitutes for the other. You were part of the group that helped to initiate affirmative action and write the first affirmative action programs, if I'm not mistaken. I want to read something from you that you wrote in the Black History Reader about why affirmative action has not worked for Black Americans. I'd love for you to address some of this just based on what your initial thoughts are as I read this. And I'll read maybe through the first 3, and then we can jump, and then you can talk about that. Then when I read the last 3. The first one is you said that affirmative action has not worked for Black Americans for several reasons. 1, the targeted groups for affirmative action benefits are intentionally non-specific and ambiguous. 2, women were intentionally included in affirmative action to become the dominant beneficiary group, even though historically they've been a protected class as stipulated by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1860. 3, newly arriving immigrants are included in the affirmative action programs, even though there's no record of them being abused nor exploited by the U.S. government. So it almost sounds like you're making reference to the fact that they made the laws deliberately ambiguous so that it wouldn't benefit Black folks. They threw in women, so white women become the greatest beneficiaries since they're the majority of the population. And 3, immigrants, which is something that a lot of Black people support, this mass flow of immigration into the U.S. Immigrants are included in the programs, which kind of push Black people to the back of the pool. Can you kind of speak to that?
Yes, thank you. Well, that whole coding system started in 1789 with the United States Constitution, and because what most people don't know, and most of our leadership never tell us or inform our people, is that the United States Constitution was the first affirmative action plan in the United States. Dr. Watkins, the United States Constitution is an affirmative action plan. It's an affirmative action plan strictly and solely for whites. That's what it was written for. It was to be able to empower and enrich them. And they use that under a concept called the American dream, which means anybody coming to America as a European could come to America. And contrary to what you read and the BS they put in these books about, well, they came here looking for religious freedom and for the right to vote. No, they didn't. No person came from around the world, slave to America, for looking for happiness and the right and freedom. They came here looking for wealth and power. And that's when they came here. That's why they all came. They came here to get rich. That's why on the bottom of the Constitution it says, give me your poor, your homeless, your hungry, your downbeats. And that's why the Europeans clean out their prisons and the mental institutions, sent all the cripples and dumb but whites, Europeans to America to get free land. Everyone came here, got 660 acres of free land just landing here. Then and for every slave they owned, they got another 150 acres. This country gave immigrants coming to America almost 2 billion with a B acres of free land. And in that land, all the wealth that was in it. Not only the timber, the land, the gold, the silver, the chrome, the gas, the bauxite. But see, black people couldn't get not one free acre. They damn sure wouldn't give them 40 acres and a mule. And so consequently, that was affirmative action for whites. And then in the 1790s, they set up an immigration policy. Any immigrants coming here, they can come here and look for the American dream. But so black folk are the only non-immigrants. That's why in all these immigration programs, blacks are excluded. You don't get anything out of the immigration program. There is no DACA program for black folk. The few blacks you got coming in from Haiti, every time they would come in, they put them in prison and ship them right back to Haiti because they're not qualified to be immigrant. And yet you let black folk, let politicians stand up in front of you talking about this is a nation of immigrants. Yes, it is, but not for black people. And that's how they get all these benefits. That's why immigrants can go to, don't have to pay tuition. That's why they got all, that's why Obama gave them $3.5 billion down in Texas just to get them housing, clothing, food. And but then get put a darn penny into Philadelphia, Detroit, and Chicago for black folk. They can get anything because they're immigrants. Immigrants in this country, because of the affirmative action program, they get 5 benefits over black folk from the affirmative action program. Any immigrant come to this country, he gets the benefits for being an immigrant. Blacks are not immigrants, so they don't get those benefits. They can't get into those immigration programs. 2, they get classified as a minority because they use that broad term to make them equal to black folk. Because the issue in this country was never based on minorities. It's based on a race issue, competitive ratio between blacks and whites. 3, they get advantages for having a language. 4, they get classified as whites. All the immigrants come to this country are classified as whites, except black folk. And lastly, they get benefits for having a language. That's why they can go and build businesses in all these communities and use that language and get TV stations, radio stations, because we got Telemundo and 2 television networks. They get them because they say we got a different language. We get special programs. That's why all the Great Society programs of the 1950s and 60s were converted over to help Hispanics. Well, even Sesame Street and stuff like that, but it used to be all these black programs were converted over to be language programs for immigrants. So affirmative action, in concluding, affirmative action now is supposed to be corrective action, correcting something that the system has done specifically to handicap or to depreciate a specific group of people. All these people in America, 99% of these people were not in the country when black folk were being handicapped and deprecated and enslaved and Jim Crow segregated. They weren't even here. So affirmative action plans never benefited them, Dr. Watkins, but it's supposed to be corrective action. The only other affirmative action program of any consequence besides the United States Constitution, I wrote in 1970. I didn't write the affirmative action plan for minorities and poor folk and people of color, peg leg and one-eyed people. I wrote it for black people. But within 6 months, it was converted over to use the same concept and techniques they used in the Constitution. They used very broad, ambiguous terms so that so they can hide black folk and make black folk invisible. They use broad terms like minorities, poor folk, people of color, multicultural, diversity. Those terms are used to smother and hide and make black folk be indivisible, so nobody see how they continue being screwed over and denied resources. Any black person, they use those terms would be outside of the Me Too, Us Too movement. We're not going for that. And we're going to shut all that stuff, shut all those things down. So I appreciate knowing that affirmative action is something that will lead to reparations. Everybody's gotten reparations but black folk, and everybody's gotten affirmative action advantages but black folk. So we're going to set up our own program and start demanding with the new movement that starts in 2019 called the Us Too movement. And I'm going to have a major conference on that coming up sometime in the first of the year.
All right. Well, everybody, make sure show your love to Dr. Anderson. Don't forget, the movement is us. That's 200, not the number 2. So us 2. Let's not get it confused like Tupac. I know some people spell Tupac with a TU. Some people spell it with the number 2. Well, us 2 is just like Me Too, except instead of me, it's going to be us. Everybody, please make a commitment to on your social media. After this is over with, go make a comment, do a video, whatever you want to do. Take a picture, share a picture, whatever it is you want to share on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere else. Use the hashtag #us2, and let's basically let people know that we're just changing the whole game. We're not bullshitting anymore. We're going to start doing things the way it's supposed to be done. And so what he's really saying to everybody, and I want everybody to understand this, is he's saying that a lot of this terminology that you get brainwashed on this when you go to a lot of white universities where they still oppress black people. You go like when I went to UCLA, y'all saw me, I had that public fight with UCLA, over the fact that I said, wait a minute, y'all don't even accept any African-American males. You don't hire black faculty members, but you always love to bring black people in to basketball, throw footballs. And in places like this, our children go to these schools and they come out using all this weak, watered down terminology. And then they don't understand why they can't get ahead in this world, because this is a white man's world until we decide that it's not going to just be a white man's world anymore. So we got to have power. We got to fight. We got to do what we're supposed to do. So this movement is the first step in that direction. We're changing the whole paradigm on everything. So Dr. Anderson, let me ask you this. And by the way,
let me jump in one more time. You see, this is a paper from the Washington Post. And what it's saying here is that suit challenges Harvard's secretive admission process. Asians are now saying that they oppose having racial admission policies in white universities because, see, they are not a part of a race. And they're doing the same thing that the Jews did back in 1967, 1968, with the Davis thing, saying that it's discriminatory towards whites to have policies where black folk can come in under quotas into the school system. And now the Asians are saying the same thing, because what they're saying is that we're not a race. We have been officially classified as whites. We're on probation all the way from the 1880s to be white. Now we're official whites. We are in opposition to discriminatory policies based on quotas for admission to the Harvard University schools. That's what they're saying. The Jews did the same thing, because right now the only people in this country who are not classified as whites are black people, and therefore they oppose any kind of quota systems, because they say that we're going to go, because we're a group, we got our cohesiveness. And Dr. Anderson is trying to start a Us Too movement based on two things: recapturing resources for black folk, and secondly, to bring about black cohesiveness. Those are two things that strip black folk of their ability to be competitive. No resources and no social cohesiveness. It is impossible for right now to bring a number of blacks together anytime, any place, and vote collectively and act collectively on a single issue that's in the best interest of black folk, because whites stripped us of our social cohesiveness through the enslavement process. So that's two of the major components of our Us Too movement. One is that we're going to go after resources, controlling on resources. To get more than 1/2 of 1%, we should have 13% of everything. We're down to 1/2. We've been 1/2 now for 150 years. And next thing, we're going to start coming together, playing as a team. No more great integrationists. No marching to be going in everybody else's school, their neighborhoods, their hotels, their restaurants, and giving our money to them. They treated blacks like guests. It's time for blacks to cease and desist in being treated as a guest in America.
Okay, so did y'all get that? Did y'all get that? So we're gonna have to unravel and unpack a lot of brainwashing to get on board with this movement. It's us too. That's the hashtag USTOO. And what I want everybody to do is I want you to feel free to challenge the ideas. Don't just believe it just because we said it. I want you to really believe it because you understand it. I want you to believe it because you've thought about it, and you've thought about the alternatives. You thought about what they told you in the civil rights movement. You thought about what your white history teacher taught you when you were in school. You thought about what you see people on TV saying that black people should do. And then I want you to ask yourself, has any of this worked? Where has any of this worked? And if you are fully convinced that none of this is working, then I would ask you to give Powernomics a try, and let's change the game. Let's shift the paradigm of thinking amongst at least some of us, so that eventually, once we achieve power, then we'll be joined by the rest of us. I guarantee you that much, because everybody likes to play for the winning team. So everybody in here, Dr. Anderson, I want you to know, everybody in here that comes into these conversations, they are, in my mind, they are part of the talented 10th. And the talented 10th, to me, is not based on education level. It's not based on income level, none of that stuff. It's based on your ability to see a vision for the future that is better than what we have right now. It's based on your willingness to do something different and to get away from these systems in order to build something of your own. So the talented 10th are people who are builders and visionaries. And these are the people that I believe are going to build the community. They're, in my mind, they're almost like the Navy SEALs of the black community. You got your regular troops, and you got your Navy SEALs, and you got your specialists. And these are the specialists. These are the first responders that are going to step out here and build the world. And then I guarantee you, once they start building that world, other Black folks are dying to be free. They're going to jump out. It reminds me, it's almost like The Wiz when, if you remember The Wiz, Dorothy was about to get killed. Diana Ross, played Dorothy. She was about to get killed by the witch, and somehow she turned the tables and killed the witch. And what happened? All the little minions who worked for the witch, they all came out of their clothes and started dancing. Remember, can you feel a brand new day? Like I believe Black folks are like that. I believe we got a whole lot of Black people who are hiding, who are scared, who are confused, who are brainwashed. And I believe that once they see real Black power take a mighty blow at white supremacy, I believe that a lot of those people are going to jump into the movement, start educating their kids in the right way, and they're going to go back 20 years ago. It'll be the year 2040. They're going to go back and watch a video you and I made in 2018, and they'll be teaching their kids based on that, and they're going to say, don't do what I did. This is the way to go. So I want to say thank you for that. I think that what you're doing is extraordinary. And also I want to remind everybody, and then Dr. Anderson, I'm gonna let you get the last word on the affirmative action piece. I would like to remind everybody, Dr. Anderson's website where his books can be found is powernomics.com. So if you'd like to get these books, they're excellent Christmas gifts. I think a Powernomics pack for Christmas is literally probably about the most empowering thing you could do for a family member or a child. I really do believe that. And then the next most empowering thing you can do is make them read it. Just offer them, tell your child, I'll give you $20 for every 2 chapters you read in Powernomics. And that's going to stay with them for life. They're going to be talking about this when they're 50. They're going to say, my mama made me read Powernomics when I was a little boy. That's why I'm so strong. So this is long-term thinking. So I want everybody to feel free to give it a try. Go to powernomics.com. I mean, you're going to spend $1,000 on toys and nonsense anyway, right? Some of us are. Why not drop $100 or whatever it is to get the Powernomics pack? Because that's going to last your family forever. A toy's going to last about 6 months till your child gets tired of playing with it. Okay, so Dr. Anderson, I'd like to ask if you have a last comment on this affirmative action issue. And also in the Black History Reader, just to finish that point, on page 201, as you list the 6 reasons why affirmative action has not worked for Black people, the 4th thing you mentioned is that affirmative action policies are intentionally targeted to areas such as higher education, admissions, contract bids, and representation in employment, rather than to correct the maldistribution of the nation's land, wealth, material resources, preferences, privileges, and controls of all levels of government. 2, next, you said Black leaders and liberals surrendered to the realities of racism and political correctness and abandoned Blacks for inclusion in a movement for all people, irrespective of how they have been treated historically. And then 3, you said, most importantly, the number of benefit groups was intentionally expanded because white society was unwilling to surrender or share its inherited privileges or wealth received from Black enslavement. So to summarize and to sum this up into a question, it seems like you were arguing that one, the affirmative action policies were targeted to the wrong areas, that it was, sort of the watered down stuff, education, admissions, contract bids, etc., instead of the redistribution of actual wealth. 2, you said our liberals or our leaders and our allies sold us out. And then 3, you said the group for affirmative action was intentionally expanded because white folks didn't want to share the money. Can you kind of speak to some of that?
Yes, let me pick the first one you mentioned about education. See, why would black folk now give up their communities and their school system to the same people who passed laws during slavery? During slavery, it would cost you it would cost you 39 lashes and $100 to be caught teaching a Black person to read and write during slavery. For 360 years, it was illegal for a Black person to learn how to read and write. And yet, as soon as they come out of slavery, guess what they did with their kids? Well, I'm gonna turn my kids back over to that same guy who said it was illegal for me to, he wouldn't teach me to read and write. I'm gonna let him now teach my children. Whites are not interested in trying to educate your children to be competitive with theirs. So in Powernomics principles, what I say, rather than closing down all the Black schools, I fought this when I was in the South. Why would you close down all the Black schools and then fire all the Black teachers, Black counselors, Black administrators, and then bust 75% of the Black kids in the white schools and put the others in special education classes? Instead of saying, no, you build your own communities under Powernomics principles and say, now we're gonna build our own school system. And in every Black city in the United States. Don't let people come in and gentrify it and privatize it. So no, we're gonna keep our own communities. And I wanna build at least 2 magnet schools in every Black community where those schools will have the best teachers, the best equipment, the smartest people, more competent people that would base their teaching and instructional programs around the acute interest, special needs of Black children. Black children have different needs than white children. White children are the descendants of slave owners. Black children are the descendants of the slaves. They have different interests in biological, physiological, and financial needs than white kids. But yet all the schools now, Black kids have been shipped off to white schools. And then we have to stop that and close them down and rebuild your own schools. And more importantly, rather than talking about the class issues dealing with schools, like what school you went to and what your educational level, Black folk have to understand that they hold a record for the highest educational achievements on this earth. They have the highest education. Nobody on this earth, not Jews, not Asians, have ever been able to be competitive with Black folk in learning skills. They don't teach you that. Because you know why? Because if we live in our society, a race-based society, the kids are no more than how they perceived by the dominant society. If white society right now has a ranking order of acceptability, where it's based on skin color, white, yellow, brown, Black down to the bottom, Black folk, and as I told you earlier, would go and try to be exactly what white folk want them to be. If Black folk go, and that's why Black folk on the bottom, educationally speaking. Nobody places a big emphasis on Black folk being the best achievers in school. They're going to be learning how to play football, basketball, tell jokes, and sing and dance. And so, but in history, that, as I say, when Blacks came out of slavery, as an example, from 1865 to 1895, that 96% of Black folk could not read and write. In the 30 years' time, when they got free, they set about trying to educate their own children in their own communities. And guess what? They reduced their literacy rate from 96% down to 42% in 30 years. No Asians, no Arabs, no Jews have ever been able to say they've been enslaved for 360 years and come out and cut their literacy rate in half in 30 years by their damn selves. But the problem is that Black benefits never follow the education. Send your kid to get an education doesn't mean a damn thing if you haven't got an economy behind it, Dr. Watkins. That's why in 1950, a black teacher with a master's degree could not earn 50% half of what a white high school dropout could earn, because we don't have an economy. We don't practice group economics. And so therefore our education becomes almost irrelevant and unnecessary. I got Black kids right now working at McDonald's and Taco Bell with bachelor's degrees, hanging out, pushing food out the window because they have no economy to compensate them. The benefits for Black folk with education do not follow Black folk with money. That's your problem. We don't get the money for our education. White folks still set and determine what your value is when you get an education. You got to go work for them in their neighborhoods and their businesses. 97% of Black folk don't even work in their own communities or their own businesses. And so I go across all these things. I just use an education as an example because we got the resources. If we learn how to practice group economics and build our own communities and put up our own school system and put the best teachers, the best equipment, and the best conditions in our own schools to address the acute needs, the special, exceptional needs of Black children. That's what the You, Us Too movement means. Focusing on us and the needs of our children and quit putting them on buses, send them over to the white neighborhoods where they're a minority and quit treated like a minority all damn day long. Have some respect for your own people. Start at home with your own communities. Don't let people come in and gentrify all the city. They're gentrifying all the cities and privatizing the resources right now so Black folk will be back where they were 150 years ago.
So it almost sounds like college is almost like a white people's training program. You know, there's just you're being trained to fit into a system, and that system is not for you. The system is not built for you. These universities were built to get employees for their businesses, and we need to have businesses and build universities and develop our own process. And I like what you're saying. I agree with you 100%. I hope everybody's listening. I hope that you're hearing what Dr. Anderson said. It looks like we're almost out of time, but I want everybody to make sure when you leave here, please let's keep that commitment to each other. Use that hashtag #UsToo. And then I want you to remember that. Just tell people about it so that we can push forward the agenda. I'll keep you guys posted on any events that surround the #UsToo movement. I just found out about it today from Dr. Anderson, but I support it 100%. And just know we're shifting the paradigm, we're shifting the conversation, and some people are gonna get mad, but that's what happens when you get real power. They get mad. When you don't have power, they like you. We don't need nobody liking us unless they're helping to do whatever we're trying to do. but really even then, I don't think we need any help. I believe in Black people. I believe, Dr. Anderson, I believe more in the ability of Black people to do for ourselves than I believe in the desire of white people to do it for us. You know, that's what it is. It's like you got two choices if you're Black. You either believe that white people are going to do it for us, or you believe that Black people can do it for us. I believe Black people can do it for us, because I believe Black people will always love Black people more than white people can love Black people. And I think that that's important to know. So Dr. Anderson, I want to say thank you. And also everybody, Powernomics.com is where Dr. Anderson's books are. He's the author of wonderful books, best books you'll ever read. Powernomics, the Black History Reader, Black Labor, White Wealth, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. And there's all kinds of stuff in this pack. Feel free to get it out for your family. You go to Powernomics.com and get that discount. And also, I want to remind everybody, please hit that thumbs up button and the share, subscribe, and like button. And also, if you want to come to our seminar on how to make money and how to make more money and quit your job and stuff like that, we're actually laying that out for you so you can leave your job and also figure out ways to develop streams of income, which is very important for your long-term economic development. Feel free to go to drboyceseminars.com. That's drboyceseminars.com. You can check it out. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. You can get a free copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. Go to drboycewatkins.net, drboycewatkins.net. So thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate it.
And tell them one last, Dr. I'll tell them one thing. Tell them that understand that the Us Too movement is not about hate. We don't hate anybody. We're not against anybody. What our movement would be is simply us two means that we place our interests, our own people's welfare and needs, and our uniquenesses above all others. It's not that we're against anybody, that racism is a team sport. You play as a team or you lose by default. And just because we play as a team, just like Jews play as a team, Indians, Asians, Arabs all play as a team, we're gonna play as a team. We're not against anybody. But we are, what our movement means that we're not against anybody, is that we're for our own people first and foremost. And that's why we're going to be a new force in this country, socially and economically and politically, based on an Us Too movement that'll be starting this coming year in 2019. And all your students and members of your audience, they're going to be a part of it. We're going to have a network across this country that's going to be 44 million strong. And that way, we're going to demand the things that we've been entitled to for 460 years.
All right. Well, y'all heard it. Hashtag is Us Too, USTOO. So everybody use the hashtag. And I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you, Dr. Anderson, for your time. And I look forward to bringing you back in. And this was real. Tell me this was not the greatest conversation you've heard all week or all month. For some people, maybe your whole life. This man is a national treasure, and I rep him and I speak of him regularly because there is no other version of him that I can think of anywhere else. And the other people are doing good things. There's a few people out here that are doing wonderful things, but Dr. Anderson and his books are a national treasure. So thank you very much, Dr. Anderson, for being.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, my friend. I'll see you soon.
Thank you now.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.